Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to episode 6 of Demon's Lutebox. This is Demon here, and to my right, obviously like always, we got our co-host Mouse.
Hello.
And down below we have Badger again.
Hello.
Alrighty. So, man, there was a lot that happened this week that some of it's kind of major, some of it's not. But we do have quite a few topics. I do want to start this off though. This just posted tonight. So there's a new Nintendo EULA that says that it can permanently render consoles unusable if it senses any piracy or modifications on it at all. And yep. That is fucking crazy. I know that, Nintendo's always kind of been the no ROM, no modification, anything like that. But, to be able to permanently brick a console is fucking insane to me. And, I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but at the same time, I don't feel like you should permanently brick a console. What do you guys feel about that?
No, I mean, they're putting it in their terms so it's legal, because they can do whatever the hell they want unless you have the lawyers to go after them.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that Nintendo has so much money that it doesn't matter. You're not going to win that. You're not.
The best you're going to do is stalemate, and, at which point they've won anyway.
Yeah. So,
I'm pretty much always in a favor of freedom of the customer, so for sure it shouldn't be something that a company should have access to.
One thing I'm kind of curious about, though, is if this is going to extend into, repairs as well, if you get into your console trying to fix something.
Ooh.
If maybe that might not, avoid some warranty, or by doing so, brick your own console just by Nintendo's new, EULA.
That's a good question, actually. I didn't think about it that way, but... come to think of it, I do fix a lot of my consoles, my PS5s. I brought some home from work and fixed them. So that does bring up some questions there. That could pose some problems for some people. And then It also begs the question of if that does count as modification, do you have to send it into Nintendo to get fixed, or a licensed Nintendo repair company? How does that work?
That goes the whole Apple route. Ugh.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I feel like if people want to modify their Switches or whatever, they should be more than capable of that. The ROM hacks, not necessarily the ROM hacks, but the ROMs themselves, I kind of get it, sure, but whenever it comes to actually modifying the console, I don't feel like you should brick it for that. Especially if somebody pays, $500 fucking dollars for the console, let them do whatever they want with it. It shouldn't, it doesn't affect you.
Are we talking aftermarket modifications too, different colored, shells and a new screen and stuff even?
See, I don't feel like whenever it comes to the shells, I don't feel like it would really be able to detect that.
I think that all still fits under their terms though, so it makes you wonder what they might have in there.
True.
Tamper-proof, kind of deal.
That's true. But if it's anything like the Switch 1, then there's not going to be a way for them to be able to tell if you switch the shell, because there's nothing that necessarily connects to the shell that would send any kind of signal to the Switch that anything has been tampered with. And that might change with the Switch 2, I don't know. But as for the Switch 1, it definitely would not. There's nothing that would cause anything to go off, I wouldn't imagine. Unless they, for some reason, started producing Switches and started selling Switches that they had a way to do that, which... it's Nintendo. It wouldn't surprise me at this point, to be honest. They're so
all this time and waiting to release it for all this time until they can figure out some way to do that.
Um, so I'm not. Let me see here. I don't know if it said anything about it just being for the Switch 2 or the Switch 1. I mean, I would imagine that's probably going to be for the Switch 1 too, right? If it's a
I
new.
would say. I'm not sure actually. I'm assuming if people are signing it now, then it means it's already for the Switch 1, and it will probably transfer to the Switch 2.
Yeah. So yeah, like they are 100% cracking down on ROM hacks. Like there's people that are selling hacked Pokemon Sun saves, and they were arrested in Japan in 2024, December of 2024, so at the end of last year. And they're potentially facing years in prison because they were hacking Pokemon Sun save files. Which, which, again, I don't understand. Like, if I'm gonna hack a file or anything like that, I'm not gonna be using it online. Like, I'm not. I'm gonna be using it for offline purposes only, and I don't think you should be able to tell me no on that because it's my game and I'm not. It's not hurting you as a company, and it's not hurting anybody else online. So it shouldn't fucking matter what I do with my save files. It just
I
shouldn't.
agree.
Yeah.
Cheating in a single player game or offline is like completely up to the player, in my opinion.
Right. It'd be like if I took a fucking aimbot and I put it on Borderlands 3. Like, who the fuck cares? Why would anybody give a shit about that?
Yeah, or an exclusively
I mean,
PvE game where you're not like forced to play PvE.
Yeah.
Like that
okay, well,
seems
to
fine
be
to me as
honest,
well.
the thing is, and the reason I see this as being an issue to begin with is because Pokemon Sun and Moon still has Pokemon that are exclusive to it when it comes to like competitive battling and stuff.
Yep.
And the only way to get it legitimately is by playing that game
Mm-hmm.
and getting it through the whatever the transfer through Pokemon Bank and then through Home and all that.
Well,
So I
here's
wonder if maybe that's the thing is that if you hack them into these older saves, that by transferring them through these necessary things, maybe it bypasses the hack check, and maybe that's why it's sought after to begin with.
maybe, but then that also raises questions for like the trade bots because I mean, technically they're not real Pokemon. They are technically hacked Pokemon.
Mhm. Yeah.
So is that considered modding or hacking the game
The thing is
or
that I've gone way too far in the rabbit hole on this specifically because I was trying to figure out exactly what criteria they would check and how they could determine the difference between like a legitimately sourced Pokemon and a genned one.
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hidden values. There's like a trainer,
Yep.
like your trainer ID, but then there's the original trainer ID as well.
Yep.
And then there's like other stuff too. And so whenever you get a Pokemon through a trade, especially in these gens as well, I've even verified this myself. But whenever you get a Pokemon in a trade, it will do checks to determine if this Pokemon originated with you or if not. If it did not originate with you, then all the standard things come into play, like won't listen to you after certain levels and before certain levels and stuff like that. But then these codes will determine if you then used this Pokemon, if you got this Pokemon yourself from your own save or if you got it from someone else's save. If you get it from someone else's save, then it has to pass all these extra checks too, accordingly. And so then also if you have a Pokemon, it can't be sourced on the current gen. It has to go through Pokemon Home or Bank, and then it gives it its own tags and all these things. And so suffice to say that having a hacked save of Pokemon Sun might actually be beneficial for getting in hacked Pokemon into like the competitive scene.
For
Honestly,
sure.
I don't actually know. Maybe there's something to prevent that as well.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I hate whenever companies do stupid shit like this because, again, if you're using hacked Pokemon, like, I know for me and you specifically, I don't use them online. Like, I fucking use them offline. I use them for a gameplay because I want to build a certain team or I want to try certain mechanics or whatever I want to try. And that doesn't affect anybody else, so I don't feel like I should be in any risk of my shit getting destroyed because I wanted to play a game. You know, I wanted to mess around in a game. Like that just I don't know. It just goes back to Nintendo being so anti-consumer and the gaming industry really doing it. Because it's not just Nintendo that does stupid shit like this, but like Nintendo's just very blatant about not wanting people
No,
to
I
have
mean,
fun.
the thing is that they're the most egregious.
Yeah.
They do the most of this stuff the most often. I mean, it makes perfect sense why they're, I don't know, most often referenced in these kind of headlines and stuff.
Well, that's just because they don't even try and hide it. They're just like, yeah, fuck you. I don't care if you have fun. You're going to play the game, and you're going to play it this specific way. Fuck you for trying to have fun. That's just how I feel like they are. It's crazy to me, man.
Yeah, well, and at this point, because they're pushing the yardstick forward, that everybody else will use that to kind of get away with other stuff themselves. You look at the Xbox prices raising and stuff, and Sony as well, their price. Although I think that was a little before the price announcement for the Switch 2. So
yeah,
either way, though, but the $80 games, that as well. I mean, we're just going to see a lot of these prices. It's going to start flooding into the rest of the industry at large because they're like, oh, if Nintendo can do it, we think our game's on par with a Nintendo first-party game. I mean, regardless of if it is or not.
Well, see, and this kind of leads into one of my other topics, talking about pricing. And I don't say this very often, but props to EA because they said that they're not planning to raise their prices on games like Nintendo and Xbox anytime in the near future.
Well, because they already went up to 70.
They did go up to 70, but now you have like Xbox and Nintendo going to 80 and 90. So like,
it's all that much more reason to wait until games go on sale, to be honest.
Well, and that's the thing, is that's what it's going to end up being for me because, I'm a father of 2 kids and I'm about to be 3. Like, I don't have, $80, $90 to drop on a new game, as often as they come out. Like, I'm going to have to wait for them to go on sale. Like, I do not have a choice. And it's going to have to be like a pretty decent sale. It's going to end up having to be like a 50% off sale for me to like even be able to, in my own mind say, okay, yeah, I can afford that now. And that's crazy.
Right.
Like, that sucks. I shouldn't have to do that. Nobody should. Like, I don't know. It's just, you can blame it on inflation or whatever you want, but it's bullshit at the end of the day because you are setting the price on your games. So
I think a lot of it is just adjusting your expectations as well.
Well,
I think being happier with these indie games and stuff, these indie offerings that we're getting for far cheaper, that may be our best bet in the long run.
And they honestly, hold up way longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. They provide a lot more replayability than most of the recent AAA games.
Well,
also just over time as well. Like, Braid is over a decade old and still, like, if somebody told me it came out today, I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
well, it's because it's stylistic. It's like it's not going for cutting edge graphics, it's going for stylized graphics, which hold up over time.
The same could be said for Binding of Isaac or Spelunky or like any number of indie games. Like,
and
Enter the Gungeon.
That's the other thing. The other thing is that a lot of the better games out right now, or the better games coming out right now, are remakes and remasters, which I'm not complaining by any means. We've talked about how a lot of them are probably lazy cash grabs, but if it's a game that people have been asking for a while, then who the fuck cares? Like, Oblivion, I would have liked to see Daggerfall or Arena or Morrowind or whatever, but we haven't had an Oblivion remake in a while, and I'm okay with it. Like, it's the first Elder Scrolls game.
You mean an Elder Scrolls remake?
Yeah, that's what I meant. But it's the first one that I really, really played. It's what got me. It's what introduced me to Bethesda, like, as a company, and I absolutely fell in love with Oblivion. I put so many hours in Oblivion on my little piece of shit laptop that barely ran anything, but somehow managed to run Oblivion.
My dad's old computer that just barely ran it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
my old family computer.
And I'm okay with that, and there's a couple of remasters that I want to talk about, or remakes, whatever you want to call them, that I'm super excited about. Like, there are some good things going on. Like, I was going through the PlayStation Store, and I seen that Freedom Wars got a remake. And I don't know if you ever played it, any of you, Mouse or Badger, but
I haven't.
It released on PS Vita, so it didn't get much notoriety because it was on the Vita. It was a pretty decent game. So essentially, the concept, like I was telling Badger, is you are born into a world on a 1,000,000-year prison sentence because resources on Earth are so bad and so whatever that just being born in itself is a crime. So you have this 1,000,000-year prison sentence, and you have two choices. You can either just die, or you can fight in these like giant monster boss battle type deals. And for every one you fight, you lower your prison sentence. And I remember playing that, and I had an absolute fucking blast with it. And I do plan on getting it because I didn't even know that it came out. Apparently, it came out like a few months ago. But it looks great on everything that I've seen from it, and I'm definitely going to be picking it up again. And what I like about the idea of remakes and remasters is that they're not charging $70, $80, $90 for the game. It's usually $40, $50, $60, somewhere around there, which I'm much more comfortable with paying for, especially if it's a game that I know that I'm going to enjoy and I know that I'm going to get my money's worth out of it. And that's why I think that remakes
you
and
out there, man.
Oh, did I? Can you
I
hear me
have
now?
no idea what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
What part was the last thing you heard?
It was probably about 2 to 3 seconds of cutout dialogue. at the end
Yeah,
there.
something like that.
Okay. So, like, most of the time these remakes and remasters are coming out at, $40, $50, $60, which I'm much more able to produce that money, and I'm more willing to because it's content that I know that I'm going to enjoy, and I know that I'm going to get my money's worth out of, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So
Yeah.
I love the idea of remakes and remasters, and compared to a new game that I'm going to pay $70, $80, $90 for and not know if it's going to be worth two shits.
Well, I think that's honestly a lot of the problem, though, too, is that these remakes and remasters are kind of hit and miss. I mean, some of them are, you kind of wonder why you're even playing it. Like, a lot of the Blizzard ones, like the Warcraft, I think it was. Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, when they remastered it. I think they like bricked the original Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 and all their mods, and some update and everything. And it just like everybody was very not happy with that. Same thing. There was the San Andreas remake too. That was just a pile of smoking crap.
It was like the original trilogy, open world trilogy, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. And it was just universally panned. It ran like crap. But there was like, why bother having remade this if it runs worse than the original game?
Yeah. It felt more like a re-release and it looked uglier.
Yeah, like a port.
That's crazy.
Port.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild.
But the thing is, though, is that there are definitely bad remakes and remasters. But
for sure.
They are fewer than the good ones, I think, because a lot of times it's harder to mess up a game that was already good.
Well, listen, I don't know if y'all heard. But where's it at? I have it up here, Summers. And I don't know if you guys even played it, but they are, there is a high potential that they are going to be remastering Chrono Trigger. Which is something...
Richie knows about that, right?
Which is something I am stupid excited for. It was released in 95, and I did too. And, obviously had Akira Toriyama.
I've got it on Steam. I beat it
for the
recently
art.
on Steam.
Yeah. So I would love for that to come back out, and I 100% will be picking it up if they do that.
I'm wondering how they would go about doing it, though. I mean, we're not talking 3D, like, remake kind of thing, right? Is it just like
it would probably end up being
polished graphics?
It would probably end up being like Dragon Quest 3 2D remake. I don't know if you've seen anything on that, but I was just playing it earlier. Just really polishing it up. And so with Dragon Quest 3, they added some new quality of life things, because back in the day with JRPGs, it was very much so, this is where you need to go get the thing, and then That's it. There was no map, there was no reminder. So if you stopped playing the game for any period of time, you would come back and you'd just be like,
A
I don't
lot
know
of
what
it
I'm gonna
was,
do.
hey, here's your quest. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your last boss there.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
And
So
you just have
like,
to go. Sometimes there's the guys like, oh, hey, let's go through the forest real quick, and it's like kind of helps carry you along. But there's sometimes that
it's
it
just
just
no.
doesn't.
Well,
If you
that's
don't
yeah.
figure it out, you're lost.
Yeah, and like I said, if you stop playing it for any period of time and you don't know what you were doing or you didn't write down the last thing you did, you had to start over because you're going to wander around infinitely, and on the off chance that you somehow find where you're supposed to go. So,
You stumble across it.
but that is one thing that I'm really excited for because I loved Chrono Trigger. I thought it was an amazing game. So,
Mhm.
super
Oh
excited
yeah, it was
about
great.
that. But
Yeah, well, so one thing is, speaking back on kind of the remasters and stuff. Right here, I've got this kind of the verdict from Digital Foundry. In case you guys aren't aware, they're the guys that go through and most major new releases of consoles and hardware or games. They'll go through and test all these different things. And so they went and tested the Oblivion remastered. They've done it a couple different times now, but this is their final kind of like wrap up where they draw the conclusions and stuff like that. And in it, they're talking about there's performance issues and hitches and sub FPS drops and stuff like that, and how there's a lot of the bugs that were originally in Oblivion, like the original game, because they're using a lot of the original, what is it, creation engine code
But
in
it's
the
part of
game.
the magic. It's so
Right.
part of the
But
magic.
then it introduces new bugs from Unreal Engine 5 and things that, hurt the performance and cause stutters and stuff like that, no matter what console you're on or no matter how high a tier PC you're running. This is just built into the game code. This is just an issue with it to begin with. And some of them they said are issues with Unreal Engine 5. So, but they were known issues, and it's like that you'd think that they would have accounted for it. But the whole thing though is it's like, granted, this wasn't all Bethesda, and so I know that having not really played it, and if I were to play it, I can guarantee that these would be the least of my issues, considering the equipment I'm on right now. But regardless, though, you would think, being that this is a big kind of release and that they're wanting to remaster it in such a way to, bring as many people into the fold as possible, that, I don't know, with the way these guys were talking, though, because these guys, the Digital Foundry guys, are always very kind of, I don't know, snobby about the way that they talk about the graphics if it's not crisp and clean and rounded objects glowing in the sunshine.
right.
But they seemed like they were thoroughly unimpressed with the performance in the game, though. So I'm just kind of curious to Badger, because you've played through this game a lot on PS5. I'm just kind of curious what your more kind of, I don't know, layman perspective would be.
Well, got about 40 hours into it, and to be honest, literally today I was thinking it might be, and I'm still deep in the novelty of it, even at 40 hours. I literally just before this podcast entered Shivering Isles, and I gotta say, I was literally thinking today that it might be better than the original. But
Oh,
that being said, I'm still in the novelty of it very much so.
right on.
So I can't say for like a year from now how I'm gonna feel about it, but right now I just love it and the fact that it happened at all. And if Bethesda really wanted to earn the trust of their player base again, it wouldn't hurt if they did the same thing for something like New Vegas. Like
God, I would love to see a New Vegas remaster or remake.
yeah, just forget Fallout 3, just do New Vegas because
Yes,
that's the one we really want.
a New
How about
Vegas was so
forget New
much
Vegas
better.
2? Forget New Vegas 2 and just remaster the original.
Yeah, for
Maybe put
real.
like new
And maybe
DLC.
actually fix that one a little bit.
Weren't
That one could
there
actually
Yeah.
use a tune-up.
weren't
Like,
there
I
some
wouldn't
Use a
mind
little
some
more
of the
time in
glitch.
the oven to kill some of the
Yeah,
bugs off.
weren't there some rumors
yeah.
about a New Vegas 2, or have
Mhm.
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
said something about it?
yeah.
I
There
don't
were
know for
rumors.
sure that it's
It
been
was talking
confirmed or
like,
anything.
God, I would
yeah,
love to
the
see a New
people
Vegas
from
2.
Obsidian, I think, were supposed to be the ones doing it.
I wouldn't even mind a prequel going through like Ulysses' story. I think that would be kind
That
of
could
cool.
be kind of dope, actually.
Yeah, like
It'd
see
be a
what happened
tragedy.
from the former courier. I think that would be an awesome story. And I mean, they've already got
I
it
think that
lined
would
up
be a
right
great
there.
way to go too. I think that would be a great way to go too, because then they're not stepping on anybody's toes on trying to determine some sort of a canonical ending to New Vegas is very
Yep.
open-ended.
Just see what
Pop-
led up
Nudge,
to New
nudge, wink,
Vegas.
wink, Amazon.
I think that would be amazing. I did see that their Outer Worlds 2 is coming out, which I still haven't played Outer Worlds all the way through.
I know that I've suggested it to you, and it's one of those games that you said you started a few times and you just can't get into. But and I did the same thing. I probably started it 3 times before I beat it, but it was worth it when I beat it.
I really need to just get in there and sit down. It's just like every time I look at it, I'm just like, ugh. And then
It's not as good as it should be. I'll say that, but it is still good.
yeah, I just
It's
need
not
to
as
go
good
in
as it
there with
should
an
be.
open mind, and just sit there and
I don't
just
know. I think it's
push
odd
through
to
it.
say that though, that there's really any preconceived notions for the Obsidian studios that made it. I mean, short of like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 guys, I don't think anybody at Obsidian now is still left from Fallout New Vegas
No,
era.
I don't think so.
I think
That's
I think it
fair,
was
but it
literally
was
just
an
2 guys.
execution. It was still like the name Obsidian, like making a similar game. You know, a sci-fi open world Bethesda-like. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but in my opinion, it was executed. I'm not gonna say extremely poorly, but they
I can't
could
say
have
anything
done
personally
they
'cause
could
I've
have
never
done
played.
better. Like I think that's what gets me is that like number one, the menus are stupid confusing. Um,
Fair.
the map layouts to me don't make sense. Um, I don't
I
know.
think it's meant to feel organic, and I think it's kind of supposed to be a little bit maze-like to make it feel like the map is bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the maps are really cramped actually,
Well,
and that's a complaint for
Well,
like because you expected a generation after a game like Fallout New Vegas that it'd be less hub world stuff, you know,
yeah.
less
yeah.
loading screens. That's what we really want. We'll take shittier graphics for less loading screens.
Yeah. Like honestly, yeah, like 100%.
You know,
Um,
okay, so this actually is a great segue into one of the news articles I wanted to talk about.
mhm.
It's Randy Pitchford, right? Asks fans to play the game first before judging Borderlands 4's new mini-map free HUD.
That's maybe fair. It might be fair, you know. For all we
Right,
know,
I'm
the
willing to
map
try
is
it.
really
Look,
streamlined,
I'm
but
willing to
that could also
try
be
it.
negative.
I'm willing to try it, but like, when has anything good ever come out of somebody being like, "Oh, now hold on, try it first, and then bitch about it"? Like, I just
Well, the
feel
thing is,
like
those he'd said, I think at around the same time that he'd said this, there's no load times. Just you see something anywhere on the screen, a mile away, up in the sky, you will be able to get there.
Skyrim, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It's what it said, echoing Todd Howard's famous line. But okay, so considering that though, that means that there's, I don't think, going to be any load screen.
no,
Or that's
they've
going to
already said that
continuously.
it's
Yeah,
going to
that's
be
added
seamless.
actually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they've already said it's going to be seamless, but
Which I mean is going to, that's cool. Like that's, I think we all
Yeah.
agree that would
Oh,
be
for
something that we
sure.
all like to see increase in gaming, kind of like how Breath of the Wild was. You know, every
It.
area you go into, aside from the shrines, of course, there was no
I
real
think
load screen.
since the PlayStation 2, they've been advertising open world games without load screens, and we've never got it consistently since. Like we just, and that's what everyone really wants, you know.
yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything that doesn't have load screens. Like, I don't know.
I remember the old Tony Hawk American Wasteland. I think it was American Wasteland, where Tony Hawk would run into the invisible that said loading, and then it advertised the next game as having no load screens
Yep,
from going
yep.
to area to area.
Well, here you go. Speaking of invisible walls, I don't know if you saw this, but Sony's talking about bringing back MotorStorm. I don't know if you guys remember playing MotorStorm,
I
but the invisible
literally was
wall
thinking
that you
about it
would hit and it would
yesterday. Yeah.
fucking launch your shit up into the sky. Yeah, they're talking about bringing that back. I think 2007 was the last MotorStorm game. Um,
Release of the PlayStation 3, I believe.
yeah, yep. So I mean, I'd be excited to see that for sure. Um, just keeping on the remaster thing, just so I can finally get over it, because this, like, I just seen so much stuff that's getting remastered, and it makes me happy. Onimusha 2 is getting released. The remaster is getting released May 23rd, so this month. And I absolutely love the Onimusha series, so I am really happy to see that. I really hope that they remaster 3 and then they remaster Onimusha 4, which is technically not 4. It's Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, I believe. Because like I had a little bit of time with Dawn of Dreams, and I remember like the first maybe hour of it, and I don't remember anything after that because I was still pretty young. But I've always loved the Onimusha series, so I'd love to see that again, because there's no, like, it was released on PS2 and it was released near the end of the PS2's lifespan, so that's probably why I don't remember it, because it was around the time I got a PS3. But I would love to see that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't personally played it.
Is Onimusha that painted game with the dog?
No,
that's Okami.
Yeah, that's Okami. It's already got a remaster.
What's Onimusha?
Onimusha?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's feudal era Japan where you're fighting Onis and demons. The main villain is Nobunaga Oda, the Japanese warlord. Nobunaga Oda, the Japanese warlord, and he's, throughout history, he's known as the Demon King in real life. Like, he's an actual warlord from feudal Japan.
Oh yeah, he's becoming more and more a figure of myth.
Yeah. So
but yeah, no, I mean, he's a very real person.
He's known as the Demon King, and he literally plays the Demon King. Like, that's his character in the games. Onimusha 2 is the most known Onimusha game. Onimusha 1 was really good. 3 really improved on 2. But it was very much so one of those games that was lost in its time, where like the controls were definitely not the greatest. Like, I remember there were some boss fights where you could literally, so it's one of the ones where you sit there and you're looking at a static screen and your character runs across the screen without your camera moving. And so there were times where like the camera would load in and you'd like be behind a pillar.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, he'd like be behind a pillar and you just couldn't see the boss fight. You'd die. Yeah.
Lock third
It was
position.
definitely a victim of its time. Definitely a victim of its time. But
security camera, third person.
But great game. Highly recommend it when it comes out. And I don't know what the price is going to be, but let me look that up actually.
So I've actually got a nice little topic, a little kind of brain teaser.
Oh, and it's only $30.
Moves into directly from this subject, kind of. I mean, not directly, but real close to it.
Yeah.
So if you could reboot or continue any old franchise that hasn't had a game in like 10 years or something, which would it be? And to start, mine would be Zoids and like Zoids Battle Legends. Like, I was thinking about that the other day, and it was just like, man,
that's a good one.
What happened to that? Because I remember Battle Legends on the GameCube was a really fun game. I mean, I spent hours and hours unlocking all the secrets and all the unique Zoid, models and stuff like that. And just, I mean, kid me wasted hundreds of hours on that game. I just kind of wonder what happened to it. It was big there for a while, but just fizzled out. But so that would be my choice, would be to bring the Zoid games back.
Man, I gotta think about that for a minute.
Well, then, the easy answer for me would be Half-Life, but really,
made, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So that doesn't really add up, but I just had it at the tip of my brain.
I would say, and I think this is because you brought up Tony Hawk, but Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. I always really enjoyed that
That's
game.
a good answer.
And I would love to see specifically another American Wasteland game come out. It was always a good time.
I liked Underground.
Well,
I don't know if I really spent much time in America.
So what I liked about American Wasteland is that literally, like, as the game progressed, your skate park got bigger because you would knock things off of certain buildings or whatever, and then it'd get moved to your skate park, and then that would be a new thing that you can skate on. I always thought that was a really cool concept. Like, that was so cool.
And the soundtrack was amazing.
The soundtrack was so good. So good.
Okay, Time Splitters.
Yeah,
Oh,
Time Splitters.
yeah.
That's a good one.
I also think we're just, besides like Psychonauts, we're really just missing that like 90s-esque cartoon feeling that like just, I don't know, there's just something about it that I just absolutely love, that aesthetic of like little zany, a little bit like cheeky adult humor sometimes, you know, but like there's just a taste to it that it's like it's not nostalgia, but it is almost nostalgia, you know?
Okay. How about Fable? I know that they're making one, but I would love to see another Fable, you know. I just think that's cool. I just like Fable. I know it's in the works. I know that it's being made, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
That's fair. That's a franchise I actually mostly missed out on.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've got much hope for any real new Fable installments. You know, I think the magic is gone.
I know.
And once again, I played through the first two. You know,
Yeah.
the first game really, man, I loved it. The second game, wow, this is great. And then I had the chance to play the third game, and I like at the beginning when you're like making a choice with your sister and like all this big stuff happens. And
Well, I will say that the first half of Fable 3 is extremely linear, and then it opens up a lot in the second half.
so why would they do that?
Yeah, that's
Like the
Why would they
time
do
jump.
that though?
yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's yeah. They get through all
That
like
was the
the
first
main
one that I
points.
played, and the time jump happened. I actually didn't beat it because of that.
Yeah.
I actually just decided not to play it. I was like, I'll come back to it and play it some other time, knowing the time jump happens, and then I just never picked it up
Dude,
again.
time skips kind of kill me. On like anime and on video games, like time skips just really
Okay,
kind of kill it.
How
for
long of
me.
a time skip kills you?
Sometimes they're kind of good, like the very end of Weeds, but that was the last episode, so it
You're
was
like The Last
it was
of
a
Us, where Joel was
finale.
down and out, and and Ellie kind of took care of him.
I don't know. I
Spoilers.
just feel like I feel like
But that's
time
not very
skips
long.
are kind of a cop out. You know, I mean, like if it makes sense for the story, then sure. But like, I hate whenever anime or games are like, okay, this is who you are, and then now you're this person who's an absolute badass and they're super overpowered because whatever. Because in 2
Training
years,
montage.
yeah, in 2 years they fucking unlocked their hidden potential and are now the baddest bitch in the world. It's like, no, I don't. Just don't do it for me. I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, just seems cliche.
It does. I just don't. I don't like it. And like I said, if it makes sense for the story, sure. If it's like
Right.
the end of a show and they're just like doing what happened after, this last episode, which was technically the last episode. This is just like the what happened after. Then I'm fine with that.
The one that makes you cry.
Yeah, the one that you're just like, oh, it did happen. I was so happy. But I don't know. It just kind of takes me out of the experience because I feel like you could find some way to do that while still playing the character.
Oh, could I bring up just one more franchise I'd like to see come back if it's
Yeah.
been long enough?
Yeah.
Infamous.
Dude, I seen you playing it the other day, and I wanted
Yeah.
to play it. I love that
Because
series
it runs so much
fucking
better than it
much.
did on the PlayStation 4. Because the frame rate always dropped when you got like the crazier powers. So.
I would
Right,
love to
right.
see remakes for 1
Second
and
Son
2.
was great. I loved it. I never
Yeah.
played much of the first one.
Dude, the
That was
first
PS-
two
I
were
I
so
love the
good.
first two.
The first two were like
First two.
so much better than Second Son, in my opinion. Like
Two was
they
the best one
really-
in my opinion.
It 100%
yeah.
was.
But Second Son was still really good. Second Son had the coolest powers, but Cole was just the coolest
He
protagonist.
was just such a badass. I love Cole so much, and his story, like his backstory, was so fucking good. Like they built him.
Yeah, with
I was
Kessler
confused.
was his name.
Yeah.
I
That
always
was really
confused
cool.
Infamous back in the day with Prototype. I just always
Yeah.
remembered the difference is that Prototype came out on
Prototype was a
all the
little
systems.
bit of a ripoff, but it was also
Yeah.
still just really cool. I've never been able to pay attention to the cutscenes though. I played through those games like a few
Every
times and
time.
always end up skipping them.
Every time
No
somebody
clue what the
brings up
plot is.
Prototype, I think of what is it? Evolve or Hunted? It's something.
Oh
Talking about
yeah,
the
that asymmetric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
what I
the
like.
boss
Every time
monster
somebody
versus the
brings
four
up,
hunters.
yeah, every time somebody brings up fucking Prototype, that's for some reason what pops in my head. I
Hmm.
don't know why.
That game gave me anxiety.
It's the reason I
What,
have
Evolve?
PTSD.
It just did. I just didn't like the asymmetric type, but I hated playing as the monster.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that game had a lot of issues, and it seems like it was kind of abandoned before they ever got rectified.
Yeah, I don't know.
That game just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
That was Turtle Rock,
Man, there's a lot of games like
I think.
there's a lot of people that are reporting on like Schedule 1 cuz it was super huge and now it's lost like 80% of its player base and it's like
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yep.
but what you also got to
Game
realize is
trend.
that like number 1, it's a trend. Number 2,
Right. Just
there's
like
there's
Fall
there's
Guys, just like
only
humans fall
so
flat.
much. There's only so much you can do in it. Like once you've done it, you've done it. Like that's it. Once you've bought everything, once you've sold all the drugs, what else are you gonna
Kind of
do?
loses its replay value.
Yeah, it's like what else are you going to do? Now, mind you, they're still updating it. They're still doing stuff to it. So like people are gonna go back to it, I'm sure. But like as it sits right now, people have played everything there is to play. There's nothing really to do, and it's a one man developer, so like he can only pump out content so fast, you know. I mean,
Right.
you can't really expect this game to stay relevant for years because it's just not going to happen.
No, it doesn't have the kind of replayability required, I wouldn't imagine.
No, it really doesn't. And I mean, like it's a great game. Like it's fun. I enjoyed it. It's cheap. It's $20. I definitely got my $20 out of it. But once you've played it, I mean, you've played it. You know what the game is. Like, there's no point in going back and be like, oh, well, I need to do this different. Because at the end, you end up in the exact same spot. It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. The only thing is you're going to go through it faster because now you know the quickest way to make money and shit. So, it doesn't really matter there. But I've seen a lot of
Yeah, people might try like challenge runs and stuff of it, but I can't imagine it's got too many aspects to exploit.
Right. Yep. Did you guys see that Nintendo was called out for potentially using AI to build the Mario Kart world?
No.
No.
I mean,
So
that
there's
was, I saw like one tweet saying that, and it was very. Pretty
I don't know if I
So-
would. That seems a little sketchy to hear at first to me. I don't know.
Here's the thing: is that somebody accused Nintendo of
mean, it was
using
spot on.
generative AI for the Mario Kart World map, and the reason why people are pissed off if they did is because they're charging $80 for something that's not handcrafted. Which I mean, in a way, I get, but at the same time, I mean, generative maps are everywhere, especially with AI growing to the point that it is, and doing the things that we're doing with AI now. It's like it makes sense.
No, I mean, let's look at who we're looking at here. I mean, it would be one thing if it was like Ubisoft or EA or something, but to be honest, Nintendo's a lot of things, but I don't think they're gonna go and use AI to try to.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know,
they
chintz out on their making of the games. You know,
they did deny
I would
that they
hope
have
not.
not used it, but
So they did.
they're saying they didn't. So
Okay.
it's he said she said. I mean,
double negatives.
yeah, at the same time, it doesn't really matter. But what it says is the initial reveal trailer generated a lot of excitement. A Nintendo Treehouse live stream that followed it had some fans upset over the inclusion of what they perceived to be AI generated imagery. This questionable imagery wasn't applied to any Mario Kart World's characters or vehicles, but rather keen-eyed fans spotted some irregularities in background posters.
And it was like the advertisement boards,
alongside one track, including an image of a car with an odd portion or proportions and a colorful building featuring zigzagging ramps that would make little sense in the real world. Responding to an inquiry from Eurogamer, a Nintendo official stated in a brief response that the allegations are unfounded and the developers did not use generative AI in the creation of the upcoming racing game. So, because people seen some kind of inconsistencies or they seen something that they perceive to be not right with the world, they're like, oh, well, you obviously used AI here. Which I think that's just people villainizing Nintendo even more. Just because Nintendo always the bad guy.
Like Nintendo about. You don't have to invent
right,
shit.
like just go find one of the many things that they fucking hate about Nintendo and follow that train.
You know what, Demon? I think you are AI, so...
I am. I'm a government drone.
I believe it.
This is how I get all your information by a podcast. Everybody
He's just
watching.
so cool, I can't help but give him all my information.
Everybody watching right now. Got you.
He got you.
Oh no.
Got him.
This is kind of relevant to me. EA released the date for, well, not necessarily the date for Battlefield 6, but they did say that it should be out by March 2026. So about a year, which I'm excited for, especially if they do change all the things that they've been saying they're going to change. They're going
what's
back.
It supposed to be?
What? It's just going to be Battlefield
like
6.
The time period, I guess, would be the best
answer
to my question.
I don't think that they have like a solid time period, but they said that it's going to be no later than March 31st. Of 2026.
No.
I think the game's time.
Oh.
Like what era?
The
like
setting.
What era does the war take place? That
Let's see.
Battlefield.
I'm just gonna read this and maybe that'll answer the question.
Battlefield 20.
Yep.
Yes.
Battlefield 10,000 BC.
Actually, I'm just gonna read it like this.
Battlefield 0 BC.
Yeah, so they
Jesus
don't
versus Santa.
They're not saying where or what time period it's gonna be. I'm assuming. I don't know because this gun looks fucking way different from all the like release pictures or like the teaser pictures I've seen. It's gonna be more modern again, which I would prefer, to be completely honest. Anytime a first-person shooter does like
Battlefield
the future
1 was
thing,
pretty great.
No, I'm saying future. I just can't. It's so hard for me to get into games that. So you have like Call of Duties who did a futuristic game, and it just kind of disconnected for me. Battlefield 2042, there's still that disconnect, but I can still play the game for the simple fact of they are like legitimate possibilities for guns. Like they're not something crazy. They're not like laser rifles or some shit like that. Like they're literally what could come from a gun manufacturer. Like I could see it 100%, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. So I would be perfectly fine with them keeping either going back in time to a past time period or staying current time period. Either way, I'd be fine with that. But like they have been doing these tests to try out different mechanics and see what works and what doesn't work. One thing they have said is they are going back to the destructible environments, which I'm so happy for because that's one thing that made Battlefield so fun. Like, whenever they took away a lot of the destructibility for Battlefield, it really took away a lot of the uniqueness for me. Like, I should be able to demolish a building. Like, that was one cool thing.
What set it apart.
Yeah, that's one cool thing.
I have a really fond memory of Bad Company 2 on the PlayStation.
I miss the fucking mortar. I miss the mortar so much. I wish they would bring it back. But that was the thing. Like, one thing I loved about Battlefield, especially Bad Company 2, is that the battlefield was constantly changing. Like, you could capture a point, go to another point, go back to that point because it's getting recapped, and then it's a completely different experience because this building's just completely gone, so now you have to find new cover
Right.
or new things to do. It was always changing. It was always fun. So I'm glad that they're bringing that back. I hope that it's destructible to the point or more so than Bad Company 2 was, but I guess really only time will tell on that.
Like Battlefield 4 better.
Yeah, well, see,
but
and
maybe
there's
smaller maps.
There's a real argument that people that are Battlefield fans have on whether 3 or 4 was better. I personally lean more towards 4, but I had more time in 3, so
That's fair.
I
barely played both, to be honest, so I'm kind of a noob speaking.
Battlefield 5 was kind of trash. Battlefield 1 still has a player base. 2042's player base is limited, but you will never. I have never had a problem getting into a game at any time of day or night. So it's not limited to the point that it's dead.
Right.
So
it hasn't dried up.
Yeah, like there's still a constant flow of games, even if it's only 3, 4, 5 servers open. At one point in time of the day, then I mean the games are still moving. So
yeah.
That's always a positive there. Let's see here. Richie, what else you got? Mouse?
Yeah. I've got, okay. So, this one's kind of on a similar topic to what we were talking about earlier, about the kind of the prices and stuff going up, but there's this article, developers ask why they should bother making Xbox games anymore, considering that there's quite a decline in hardware sales and even further a decline in actual purchases on Xbox hardware, considering the Game Pass and the kind of the oversaturation of, it's like if you're going to try and sell a game on an Xbox, you're competing with Game Pass. On Game Pass, in which case you're not selling it on there anyway.
Yeah.
Or you're competing with Game Pass, so people are like, well, why would I spend money on this physical game when I could just keep playing these games on Game Pass?
Yeah.
And so people are kind of seeming like they're losing hope, At least developers, when deciding on the cost versus reward of porting a game to an Xbox or just developing for it to begin with.
Well, and it makes sense, I mean, it makes sense to think about it from that point of view, in my opinion. Because I mean, that's really the main selling point that Xbox has. I feel, is their Game Pass. Like, I feel like if they didn't have Game Pass, they just would not be able to keep afloat at this current time, because they're getting beat out in pretty much every other metric by Sony and Nintendo. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense to question that. And at the same time, even if they didn't make any new games for Xbox, if Xbox does kind of what we've been speculating on and turning into like a online console-esque handheld, whatever they do, then that could run Steam, then it wouldn't really hurt Microsoft at all. It would more or less depend on how they go about producing that console or whatever you want to call it. That would either make it or break it, to be completely honest, in my opinion.
But then they're competing with Valve and like what Valve's going to be doing and stuff, and is that really a good idea?
Well, and that's the thing, is it's like, is it going to be, if you do something like that, is it going to be handheld, so you're going to be a direct competitor of the Steam Deck, which is just, honestly, in my opinion, just a horrible idea. Just don't do that. Because the Steam Deck...
Yeah, well, it would not just the Steam Deck, but the Switch too. Or the Switch and the Switch 2, and then all of these new PC handhelds.
But at the same time...
They do have to compete.
Well, and the other thing is that even if they don't go the handheld route, so what are you going to do? Are you trying to compete with the computer industry? Because I highly doubt that you're going to be able to make anything that people can afford that's going to be able to compete with top tier computers. So it's like, where are you going to land in this if this is what you're going to do? Because like the handheld market is already got, like, Steam Deck is a great handheld from everything I've heard. And then you have the Nintendo Switch, which has a lock on like console games. So where are you going to land in this? Because if you try and fight computers, you're going to lose. They
You
can
know, they
just.
wouldn't be fighting computers anyway. I mean, to be honest, Microsoft, as silly as it sounds, kind of is computers. You know, I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
yeah.
Windows to begin with.
But at the same time, it's
But
like, do
the
you need
problem
another
is
desktop?
no. I mean, a lot of people don't have a desktop and would be overjoyed to be able to get an Xbox subsidized computer. But the whole problem, once again, is if Xbox, you know, if Microsoft subsidizes the cost of this new Xbox computer and everybody uses their Xbox computer to download Steam and start paying Steam all this percentage on software sales and stuff and leaves Xbox in the dust except for their, you know, weekly or monthly purchase of Game Pass, that might blow right up in Microsoft's face because they're probably expecting to be able to receive similar, if not the same, sales or percentage of software sales that they were getting on their Xbox on this, you know, new hybrid kind of Windows computer device. So they either allow Steam on it and suffer the loss of all of this software bonus, you know, distribution tax, whatever the store tax, or they don't allow it to run Steam, and you've pretty much lost the entire appeal of having Windows on it.
Okay, so what do you think would be the odds of Microsoft trying to team up with Steam to where if a game was purchased from the Xbox that they would get a cut of that from the Xbox? Like what if they made it
The
to where
best
like
bet.
so listen, imagine that Microsoft and Xbox or Microsoft and Steam or Valve kind of did a collaboration, right? And they wanted to make it to where the Xbox was what's the word that I'm looking for? Not compatible. What's the word? I can't think right
Competing?
now.
I mean, I'm
No.
Like commissioning?
No, fucking I can't think of the word. Anyway, imagine the Xbox was made specifically to run Steam games, right? So you have your handheld,
okay.
which would be the Steam Deck, and then Microsoft and Valve could come together in a collaboration, and the Xbox could be like a console that runs specifically off of Steam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like Steam Deck.
Right,
Steam Deck.
but have it to where the games are made to where if you buy an Xbox, then you can play, say, 80% of games that are put on Steam. You know what I mean? Like they are. I can't
Like
think
the
of the
pass
fucking word.
merged?
No, optimized. They're optimized to be able to play on the Xbox specifically. God, I can't fucking.
I mean, that
think.
would be a developer by developer decision, you know.
It's true. I'm just saying it's a thought. I mean, I doubt that that's what happens, but I mean, if
Well, the thing is that part of what Valve has been doing for the last like 10 years or something is they've been working on a Proton translation layer for Linux to be able to run these games that all these people, all these developers have been creating and putting on Steam for Windows, that they're allowing it to translate without, I think, really much extra overhead on specs and on the actual like device power, like the hardware usage,
yeah,
without much extra overhead. But it literally translates from these games that were meant to be run natively in Windows. It translates it into to run on in Linux,
on
and then
Linux
now
code.
for Valve's Steam OS. And so at this point, Valve already has Steam OS, which is Microsoft agnostic. I mean, it's completely separate from anything to do with Microsoft. And so at this point, like they've kind of gone out of their way to decouple themselves from Microsoft because
Yeah.
they've seen a lot of it. Basically, always before it was if you wanted to have Steam, you needed a Microsoft computer or you know sometimes a Mac, and but their user base on Mac was like 0.3% or something.
Well,
And in even Linux too, but once again, Linux had very little video game compatibility.
I
So
mean,
Valve's kind of went
either
second last
way,
year.
it really doesn't matter. They're going to have to figure out something if they're going to want to compete on any level with handhelds, consoles, computers. It doesn't matter. They're going to have to figure out something, or they just need to stop making Xboxes. They need to get out of out of the field.
See, and that's I think what a lot of people should get off the pot. I mean, if you're gonna stop supporting your hardware, then stop making it, stop selling it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like a lot of people are saying Gears of War now is going to come out on the PS5. That all these other classic Xbox games are heading to Sony systems.
I
And
mean,
people
yeah.
are like, well, I can't play any of Sony's games on my system, so what why
Yeah.
am I holding this system then? You
Yeah.
know, because all the games that I would want to be like, oh, hey, Sony pony, look at this. I've got my shiny new Gears game. And the guy's like, yeah, I've got it too, and it's better.
Right.
You know?
Oh, that's just like Forza just came to PlayStation, which is something that I have been waiting for a long time because I fucking love Forza so much.
Always
Forza's
a classic
so
Xbox game is now also on PlayStation. You know,
Yup.
that was always the counterweight to Gran Turismo back in the PS4, Xbox One era.
Well, and then
that was the
and now
if
it's not
Halo
even
comes to
valid.
PlayStation, it's over.
There's
Like,
talks. There
supposed
are
to be.
talks. It is supposed to be
Yeah,
coming
there's
to
rumors. It's
PlayStation.
not like there's actual plans, but there's talks that PlayStation and Nintendo would receive Halo and other
Yeah.
otherwise exclusive first-party Xbox games.
But the direct Sony competitor for Forza has been Assetto Corsa here recently, like over the last couple of years. Like that's been the main competitor, like the realistic tuning and everything else for Forza. That was the direct competition, which wasn't direct competition in my opinion because I couldn't stand it. Did not like the game. But that's me, and I know it does have its own fan base.
Yeah, that's more like the sim driving. Like,
But yeah,
you
I
get a
mean,
VR headset on and stuff.
Xbox,
But even
I always thought
Xbox
Gran
7
Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo
Yeah.
as well is basically the same thing. Super sim
Xbox-
driving, very much high tuning, a lot of tuning. Did I mention the tuning?
we'll see. And
Was there tuning?
for Xbox, it's really disappointing for me because like I've always been a PlayStation fanboy, but at the same time, we continue to talk about it. If there's no competition for Sony, then Sony's going to get lazy and they're going to be releasing the most trash consoles because there's nobody to keep them in check. There's
Well, no, I mean, the
nobody.
consoles themselves, they want to be like this premier thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're going to make these consoles be this fancy, awesome thing, but there's no other counterweight to bring the prices down.
Well, that's what
You
I'm
know,
saying.
At this point, there's no incentive for them to take a hit on the console sales
and
when there's
that's-
no other, opponent.
That's what I was going to get to. It's not just the quality of the console, it's not just the quality of the games, it's also the pricing and everything else because at that point if Sony doesn't have anybody to compete with on pricing or on performance or anything, then they can just put out whatever they want and you're either going to buy it or you're not, but they're going to be the only mainline console other than Nintendo that you're really going to get, you know? I would love to see like I would love to see like Sega come back and make another console or some shit like that. Like I would love to see somebody just out of nowhere just be like, you know what, we're gonna release a console. And I know that that's so hard to do, especially in today's day and age, because you have people that are so comfortable with Xbox and
Well, no,
so
it's just so
comfortable with
hard to
PlayStation.
justify.
Yeah,
It's
but
just so hard to justify. Imagine like trying to make a new console. I mean, look, if Google couldn't make a new console in this generation, then I can't imagine Sega coming out of nowhere and doing it.
I think that
It'd
Google,
be hilarious.
I think Google was ahead of their time on it. I think the Stadia would have done good if we had stable enough internet, but we just didn't. We
Okay,
just
what
couldn't
about
support
Amazon?
it.
There was like that whole Luma thing or whatever it was that also just
Yeah.
dissipated.
I
like
only
a
heard
fart in the
about that
wind.
for like a month, and then it was just gone. Just goodbye.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying is I think consoles are on the way out, and I think that it's just that Xbox might be on the right track and dipping their head out first, or obviously Nintendo being the first real one to talk about, but between Xbox and Sony, I mean, maybe if Sony releases a PS6, that actually puts them behind where Xbox is because they've embraced the handheld and kind of dock playing style.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what it comes to, but either way, I mean, Xbox needs to figure it out or just stop making consoles because they're just not it anymore. They beat PlayStation for what, 1 year, and that was PS3.
Well, and
Xbox
the thing is
360, really?
Kind of rounding back around to the original point of this article, though, is that it just seems like there's a lot of like actual developers making games that are coming to the same decision, the same thought process. Like, why bother? Why bother porting to Xbox? Why bother doing anything with this Xbox? Much less, why bother vying for exclusivity on this Xbox? You know, whenever it's like it's going to go to Game Pass, which will be accessible on all these other platforms eventually anyway. So,
Yep. So I have two more topics. One of them's a big one that me and you share. This one is something that I would love to see, but I have to say, like, bravo to the developer. So Eric Barone, I don't know if you guys know him, but he made Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah.
He said I might make he did an interview and he was like, I might eventually make a Stardew Valley, but I just don't care about money, and it's so much easier to just update the original. And I have to applaud that from him, because it's like, I just don't care about the money. Number one, like, I love you now. You were one of my favorites. First of all, let me get that out there.
The thing is, the dude's made a lot of money off of the first Stardew Valley, though.
I know he has, but the game is worth it. He deserves it.
Opinion.
Yeah, he deserves it. Number
this
one,
game better, so that way it's more fondly remembered. You've already got so much money at this point. Why not just perfect the thing that made it for you?
Well, and that's the thing, is that it's like, I love that. Like, you continue to push out updates for it. It's been like, what, 10 years since it's been released. It's still killing it. People still pick it up and play it. I still pick it up and play it. I love
Every time there's a new system, you either bring it from your old one or you buy it again for the new one.
Yeah, because it's like $10-15 max, and it's just it's one of those games that, like, I have to be
replayability.
Careful. Yeah, well, and I have to be very careful when I play it, because, like, I'll sit there and I'll just lose myself in it. Like, I'll be like, hey, I got 30 minutes to hop on. 3 hours later, here I am, like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, what happened?
I'm 3 seasons deep right now, boys.
You're married. You don't even remember how you got here. Start playing at noon.
Fully upgraded house.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Max reputation with everybody. I got all the fucking town hall shit finished. It's crazy.
No, you probably sold out for Doja at that point.
Yep, all the fish, dude. I remember doing that shit. That was crazy.
Oh my god, man!
I actually really enjoyed the fish, but I like those fishing.
Just waiting for the seasons, though, not realizing that you missed one in the winter, and you go in the next spring to try and finish out certain things, and you're like, oh wait, oh man, you mean to tell me that what is it, sturgeon? I think I didn't get a sturgeon.
Yep.
I fished so much just for fun that by the time I was trying to fish specific ones, the only ones that I hadn't fished were specific locale. So,
that's good. So the next one is kind of the big topic. I was going to talk about it early, but since it's one that me and you shared, Mouse, I figured we could probably save it till the end. Badger.
No, I mean, if you want to bring it up now, unless you have something, Badger.
Oh no, not off the top of my head. I did learn an interesting fact about Stardew Valley. The guy who made it, his girlfriend paid his bills for 5 years while he made that game. Unemployed, but she probably saw that game and saw that it was something special, and that's why she did it.
Right.
So, like, kudos to her and him for that. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mouse, do you have any other topics you want to go over?
I do.
Okay,
I've got
hold off on
this one. Okay, well, I've got this one here, a smaller topic, but this is kind of more of a question for you there, Demon, but this is the new Diablo 4 Berserk crossover skins.
I just talked about that.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I had this one saved from earlier on this week.
Me and Badger were just talking about that.
$150. Like, yay!
Yeah.
Premium cosmetics.
That's insane.
I didn't know that, but I did see, like, literally right before we started recording that it had a crossover with Berserk.
Yeah, well, and that's like everyone's like, "Oh man, that sounds cool." And it's like, yeah, premium options have a total price tag that could set you back $150. It says.
Well, here's the thing. That doesn't surprise me. Pretty much every crossover they do, they just had one. Well, last time I played, they had one with World of Warcraft, and so every one of the skins is like fucking $35 per skin, which is so fucking predatory and crazy to me. Like, I can't believe that shit. Like, it makes me physically cringe every time that I open up I accidentally open up the microtransaction shop. I'm just like, ugh. Like, get it away from me. Go away. It just,
And the thing is it was
hurts.
like this article kind of made me want to segue into like in Path of Exile 2. There are these early access kind of the supporter super packs and stuff, right? I remember we were kind of talking about them before. There's $400, $500 you can spend, and it gets you all the packs and everything like that. And that's all whatever. Nothing I'm ever going to deal with or even think about spending the money on. But the fact remains is that this game, whenever it comes out, is going to be free. Totally free to play. Even the stash tabs, like we were talking about this the other day, but the 4 stash tabs they give you, if you do it right, you can run a couple different characters and have plenty of storage, especially if you get in a guild with other people. You can have extra room in there to store stuff and things. So you don't have to spend money on Path of Exile. So when you go and spend $30-$40 or whatever on a skin or something, because the microtransactions are similarly priced, I've noticed, between Path of Exile 2 and Diablo 3, but the big not 3, Diablo 4. But the big difference is that Path of Exile is free. Diablo 4 is $70 minimum. I mean, obviously sales and stuff like that, but you're spending money to begin with, and yet you get less customization options. I mean, honestly, I'll leave this up to you. What would you say, Wes? More, less?
Customization, you're going to get more with Diablo 4. Just base game, you're going to get more with Diablo 4. Mainly because there are there's more. So here's the thing: is that as you progress, just like in Path of Exile, the armor looks change. However, they change more in Diablo 4. You can go to your wardrobe in Diablo 4. You can change. You don't have to pay anything. There's no like in-game currency that has to be exchanged. You can change the look of your character, the helmet, chest piece, whatever, everything, and you can change the color of it from the wardrobe. So Diablo 4 definitely
you have
base
to have
game.
Like the dyes for it to change the color?
No,
okay,
nothing.
I know in Diablo 3 you did.
Yep, nope, nothing. It is all absolutely 100% free as long as you have picked it up in the world. Even like legendary weapons, you can change the looks of your weapons to that, legendary armor, stuff like that. All of it, you can use that exact same skin for that stuff on that character. So customization-wise, Diablo 4 has path beat 100%.
Interesting.
So
but
and to that, I would say that there's absolutely no reason that you should be buying the microtransaction outfits for Diablo 4 because there's just, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the armor looks cool as shit. Like a lot of it looks great. Just base game armor looks good, and I don't know. I feel like a lot of the microtransaction outfits for most games just look tacky as hell. I just don't like it. You don't fit into the world, and that just takes me out of the experience.
That's kind of fair.
Like, why would I be playing a World of Warcraft troll character in Diablo 4?
Yeah, why is Homelander shoving a dildo in my mouth?
In Call of Duty. Exactly.
Yeah.
Why is Nicki Minaj fucking twerking me to death right now? Like,
why is this Power Ranger ripping my scrotum off? Like,
exactly. It just doesn't make sense, and it takes me out of the game. Now, games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, Call of Duty is more arcade shooter anyway, so like that's just whatever. I guess if you want to shovel more money to that company, go ahead, but don't.
Fair enough.
So yeah, like customization wise, Diablo's got him beat, but again, like you said, Path is going to be a free game.
Also, I think this should be revisited once Path is out in full access, because we're also seeing early access, and every time they give a big content update, there's a lot of new looking equipment and weapons, and so we'll revisit this essentially once a Path of Exile actually fully releases and people can actually play it for free too.
Well, and if I get to the point where I feel like Path of Exile's customization wise beats Diablo, I'll just bring it up. But at this moment, it doesn't. So
yeah. Well, and once again, I think a lot of it is because Blizzard still has some talented artists there. You know, like that's 100%. Part of what makes it so egregious whenever Overwatch and Diablo and all these other Blizzard properties go so far out of their way to suck their customers dry of money,
Oh,
you
and they do.
know?
They do
Oh,
too.
because it's it's like, man, this is such pretty vampiric art. It's too bad.
Yep. It's sad, man. But I mean, it is what it is. People continue to buy it, so they're gonna continue to do it.
Right.
Don't know what to tell
Yeah,
you.
I think that's so disappointing.
It really
That's a
is.
whole other story for another time.
Knights of the Old Republic sequel. Sorry, I'm still on that.
Okay.
Well, you got anything else? Because I've got one more little brain teaser if we want to just, kind of quickly go over it. Or
The last thing I
otherwise,
got's the
don't care.
one that we share. So if you want to go ahead and do that, and then we can end on that topic.
Okay,
I'm
so this
good.
is the last little one I just had. This is the favorite way to control games, and if you have a control, and if it's a controller, then which one? So personally, I would say mouse and keyboard, highest precision. It's just the most available options for specifically mapped actions. So that's just going to be kind of the way that I prefer to play a game. Now, aside from like Soulsborne games and maybe racing games, because once again, those games I think a joystick to move with is really beneficial. But mouse and keyboard is, I would say, probably my preferred method, just in general.
Okay, it actually depends for me. In a racing game, I am controller all the way, but any
Right.
first-person game or RTS, I'll probably take a mouse and keyboard. I said turn-based games, I also tend to just prefer the controller because they also dumb down the control scheme in general for the controller, and I like that. I like the dumb down control scheme usually. I'm usually like, why didn't they just do this for the PC version? To be honest,
Yeah.
So
Um,
go ahead.
no, that was all really. Go ahead.
I am fully controller, to be completely honest. Like, I enjoy the perks that I get from keyboard mouse, but I feel the reason that I am controller so much is because I've played on controller my whole life. Like, I just recently got into keyboard mouse gaming, maybe like actually having my own desktop and playing games like maybe 5 years ago, whereas I have 25 years of experience using a controller. So I'm just far more comfortable using controller on all games. I've gotten used to
Yeah,
it.
makes sense.
So
Okay, so which one then? So for both of you, which controllers do you prefer? I know your answer, Badger, but you can still say it. Yeah, okay, so both of you.
Yeah, the PlayStation 5 is
it's
just the
just
best
so
controller
much
I've ever
better.
used.
Well,
It
I mean,
feels so good.
and you can tell that they took inspiration from Xbox.
From what you cut out there.
You can. I just stopped talking. You can tell they
Oh,
took
okay.
inspiration from the Xbox, just like in the general shape. One thing I'll say that I love about the PlayStation 5 controller is that, like, on your finger grips, they actually go past my fingers, which is not something that the PS4 or PS5 controller could do. My fingers would always, like, hang off like this. And whenever I do, like, a claw grip, it is so much more comfortable because, like, I actually have a decent place for my fingers to rest, and I have enough space that my fingers touch, but they aren't, like, overlapping like they normally would be on a different controller. I don't know.
That must be nice.
I'm
It's still a
very
little
picky.
bit too small for my hands, but
I just have fat fingers, man. Like, they're just chonky boys.
I also just have these super long, skinny fingers, like salad fingers. So like my
This
hands
is
are
what
curling
works out
around the
being my
controller.
favorite.
I'm using like
Yeah.
halfway down my thumb to hit X whenever I X. Like I'm not even using the last knuckle of my thumb to hit X.
Well,
like
and it's weird because, like, I find myself using, like, a half regular grip. I can't do this in any way. So, like, I find myself using, like, half claw grip, half regular grip a lot of the time. So, like, I'll just move
I
around
was
and
just map
D-pad
B.
and
I
stuff,
just map
and
B to
then
the grip.
depends on the game I'm playing.
Because especially for like Dark Souls, you just map B to the grip, or
Nah.
circle or whatever,
Nah.
so then you don't need the claw.
yeah.
But the claw's
Obviously, not all
optimal, and I'm
controllers
so
you can do that.
comfortable with
Yeah,
it
I'm
at that
just
point.
comfortable with the claw. Like, it fits so perfectly, man.
Do you fear the claw, Richie?
The
Oh, I can claw too.
claw.
But why claw when you have the back?
Because it's
Because it just
comfortable.
allows you to press more buttons at once.
It's comfortable and it
Because
feels
the claw
good.
makes me feel fancy. Yeah, makes me feel smart.
I
Makes
feel
me
like I'm a
feel
good
like
gamer.
yeah, makes me feel adaptable.
I
You
feel like
know?
I can tell people to get good.
Yeah. Get good, Richie. You haven't
Yeah,
even beat
well,
Dark Souls 3 yet.
I was good
I,
because I
Let me
used
know
the
when you
patch.
get past Gale in the Ringed City, bud.
Well, I mean, once I even get there, I might let you
I
know.
bet you can't
Or
even
Flynn of
claw
Cause,
grip that thing, can
my
you?
Orphis of Cause. Orphan of Cause, more like.
Oh wait,
Or
wait, you
Orphis
haven't
of
beaten
Cause.
him yet, have you? So
You
yeah,
know
you need
what?
to get good too.
Yeah, I
And
will
also
though.
Lawrence, you need to also beat Lawrence, who I would
Okay,
say
but
is arguably
I
harder.
have a +3 character on fucking Bloodborne. Yeah, so
Yeah,
what? I
well,
haven't beat the DLC.
just go back through on a new character.
I'm gonna
And I
stay out
have
of this
beat Lawrence. I
conversation
literally am using his weapon.
because
It
I
was the
haven't
only
beaten
reason I
any
got
of
the
them.
DLC.
So I'm not gonna say shit. I'm just gonna sit over here and keep my
You beat
mouth
Elden
shut.
Ring though, right?
I have beaten Elden Ring.
There you go. That's the hardest one.
See, not in my opinion. I feel like it's
I've heard a
easier.
lot
It's
of
just
people
because
say
it's so
Sekiro's
long.
harder.
Okay, no, Sekiro's probably harder, but I haven't beat Sekiro, so I
I
can't
haven't
say that
beaten
officially.
Sekiro.
I have to
No.
go back. I gave up. I
Dude,
admit.
I know that I talked about it before the podcast with Badger, but man, I am so excited for Ghost of Yotai.
Oh yeah,
Looks
dude. Ghost
so
of
good.
Tsushima was like up there with like The Last of Us, and like in the control for me is like a fucking PlayStation like just flagship game.
I think I'm gonna download Ghost to I can't say the word. I'm gonna download that and play.
Tsushima.
Yeah, Tsushima and play that again.
I
Cause
also just bringing it up, dude.
Tsushima.
Control, such an underrated game. Crazy. If you're into like any kind of creepypasta like that, what's that like
Oh,
CTP or whatever
SCP.
it's yeah,
SCP.
SCP. It's a little bit like that, clearly inspired, but it's like a little bit Stephen King, like if Stephen King wrote all the SCPs, I guess. Like but it's made by the guys who did Alan Wake, you know, so like it's the same universe and it's awesome. Remedy did such a good job.
alrighty, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and hit this last topic before I have a stroke.
Yeah, don't do
Um,
that yet.
so Badger, I don't know if we've talked about this with you in the call yet. Destiny 2, well, Bungie specifically, is getting sued for copyright infringement on a book that a guy wrote saying that the original Red War campaign for Destiny 2 and the Ghost of Osiris, or whatever the hell it's called, is copyright for pretty much basic sci-fi tropes. The
I saw your
problem,
video on it and how they're
yeah,
getting baked, like they're getting caught on a technicality,
they're
like and
getting
it's
caught because
bullshit.
they vaulted their fucking shit, and whenever they vaulted it, they can no longer access it because the game has been updated to the point that the code does not work with the game anymore.
No longer compatible.
And they tried to bring in like videos from My Name is Biff and a whole bunch of other creators, and the judge was just like, "No, get that shit out of here. I will not hear any of this." So this
Is his name
guy,
Bife?
Yeah, Bife.
this guy has a very high chance of winning on a technicality, and it's really, really shitty.
No, the thing
Damn.
is that this guy, there's a difference. Like, this guy never actually published a book. It was on like a web forum or something like that. Like the loosest possible,
That still counts.
claim that this guy can have.
If
Yeah,
it's
but
a
it wasn't
public
like,
forum, it counts.
yeah,
At least as far as
don't
I
know,
know.
but it's not published though. I mean, I guess self-published in its own way. But the fact remains though is that it was. I don't know, tenuous at best are the connections between what this guy claims is their primary inspiration for the whole thing. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think the fact that this
dirtbaggy.
thing's even going to court is pretty bad looking for Bungie.
It's definitely
That
one of those
sucks.
things of he seen that the shit was vaulted, had an idea, decided to test it out, and it's working. Like that's how I feel like this is going. Like,
It's
and
a lot of money to hire a lawyer to test an idea.
Well, I mean, the thing is that if that's the case, then why didn't he sue any other game developer or movie producer that has anything to do with an alien war or a
Like the
celestial
Arrival or
object
like
in the sky? Like,
Right,
let's
right.
sue Moonfall because technically the moon in that was a celestial object. It's a Dyson sphere.
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask.
So
Like, there's
yeah,
so
I
many.
think
sue the
Legend of
moon.
Zelda should sue that guy.
So if
There's a
that
celestial
happens,
object in real life. They should sue the moon.
so if he wins this, does this
think a
mean
lot
that
of
he
it
gets
is-
to sue other companies for that same shit?
But the thing is if he wins this, that means that then the thing that he put online in this self-published form puts it out there, like as in like this is in the realm for copyright, which means that then people can go out and get sued for writing fan fiction.
Yeah,
I mean, logically speaking,
which is fucking insane.
because the thing you're doing is publishing a piece.
I don't know. That's a possible precedent, but I don't know enough about law to say it works like that.
No, and I'm not saying it does, but I'm just saying it makes you wonder. You know, it
Yeah.
seems like that would be a, if this is set as precedent, that would be a loophole one could exploit, or shady companies could exploit to try and rub down.
Yeah, legal. Let us know. Like,
Yeah, it's one of those rare cases where you're actually rooting for the company to win because
Yeah.
like if this dude gets away with it, it's just really shitty for any game developer, and that's got to be worrisome for like indie developers and shit like that too. Like if if this guy wins, if indie developers are going to be looking and being like, oh well, if I step on this guy's toes or I get anything remotely close to this, then I'm going to get sued, and if I can't produce evidence or my evidence is considered edited or whatever, then I'm just fucked. If the judge says no, we won't hear that or we won't see that, then I'm just fucked. And that's just unacceptable to me.
You'll have to repeat that last part.
If the judge says that they're not willing to see the evidence of like the gameplay or whatever because the defense is saying that it's edited or whatever, then that just really fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think.
also,
Yeah.
aren't there like just millions of eyewitnesses?
Yes,
Like-
but they could all the defense could just easily come up and be like, oh well, they're not reliable sources. All of that was modified from the original work.
I mean, like once you get to a certain amount of like a certain number of eyewitnesses, like it becomes a lot. Like, could Bungie like petition, like ask their player base for a petition?
Okay, but
I
at the
think
same
that somebody
time,
somewhere on some consoles got the pre-patched version of that.
at the
game.
same
Yeah, like
time,
an
though,
unupdated version of it.
Yeah.
That, like,
at the same time, though, like people can obviously see that this guy that is suing Bungie is in the wrong. So then the defense could be like, oh, well, they're maliciously saying that my client is in the wrong because they support this game or they enjoyed this game, so they don't want it to go away or whatever. And they could always run through that and just be like, well, this isn't a reliable witness,
Well, I mean, and it seems like the judge itself is already.
but then you could just say any evidence isn't reliable evidence after. Like there's a reasonable amount of evidence and a reasonable amount of eyewitness testimony.
Now,
Millions of people see something.
Here's
then,
my
like,
thing.
That's pretty reliable, right?
Here's my thing. What is the evidence of the guy that is suing Bungie?
That it's copyright. Yeah.
No, like what evidence is he showing that's copyrighted though?
Yeah.
Like how do I know it's not modified? How do I know that's actually my work? I don't have access to it, so you obviously
that's
can't
a
have
fair
access to it. So how are
Well, no,
you
I mean,
going
yeah,
to
it's-
like? I feel like that is the only
guy
only
probably
loophole
had
that they're going to
taken
win
some
on.
screenshots and videos at some point prior to whenever this was all still available. He's kept it aside, or maybe he himself went and looked at this stuff online and pulled videos from YouTube channels and stuff, and maybe they admitted his.
That's my thing.
but
Like
then when
that's
Bungie
my
wait, wait.
argument.
they're like,
What about the story of Destiny? It's so loose that like an open to interpretation.
It's
Like
a
that's the whole
basic-
point of things like
it's-
My Name is Bife. Like
It's literally a basic sci-fi fucking story. Like, Mass Effect does the same thing. The Reapers show up and you see this celestial object, you don't know what it is. Let's fucking sue BioWare because they made Mass Effect.
Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Literally any space
in-game.
sci-fi game has this shit in it. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, that's what I think makes me so mad about this guy suing Bungie is the fact that, like, it's literally just a basic sci-fi trope that he's suing for, and why should he be able to get away with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, he might win on a technicality because Bungie sunset their own goddamn game.
which let's go ahead and talk about how stupid that shit is. Like, how are
That's
you
just
going
leopards eating
to
people's faces?
how are you going to fucking vault content so goddamn hard that you can't even access it? The code doesn't even work anymore. That is fucking nutty.
Yeah, I don't
think
understand
they
the
could
technicality of that at
reproduce-
all.
You'd think they could reproduce the conditions or something. Like they've got to have archived code somewhere that they can unarchive or
You
whatever.
would think,
and
but
boot up on some
apparently
legacy
A
server
clone
or
or
something.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you would think that this would be pretty important to be able to reproduce the conditions required to
Maybe
get
the-
some
Maybe
evidence.
maybe the amount of storage that it would have taken would have just been crazy,
You
so they couldn't
know-
do it.
You know what I think it is, and this is what I honestly think it is. I think it's whenever they went to free to play, they changed the code far too much, and that's what's making it to where they cannot put the story in there anymore because the codes don't match up.
They telltaled.
I think that was the update that fucked them.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that
Maybe,
was that. I mean,
honestly.
that would have been one of those things that they would have had to. They
Although
had to
going free to
completely
play wasn't
change
when they
everything.
sunset. That wasn't when they sunset.
No,
which means
no,
that
no, that's
whenever they
not what
went
I'm
free to play,
saying.
there was still some stuff playable on it, like some of the stuff they sunset.
Was there?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't because they vaulted, all of that shit before I stopped playing. It's around the time they did all the nerfs.
I thought they went free to play before you stopped playing too.
No. Nope. It was like 6 months after I stopped playing, I'm pretty sure. But either way, so let's just say this hypothetically, if they sunset everything before it went free to play, then that would be my best guess as to why it doesn't work anymore. I feel like if it went free to play before they vaulted it, then they just didn't have the code compatibility. Like, they would have to completely rechange Destiny 2 again for it to be able to be used, and that's just something that they're not going to do.
Okay, so it became free to play October 1st, 2019. Okay.
Mhm.
And Destiny the Red War campaign was sunset November 10th, 2020.
Okay.
So
Damn, it's really been that long since we played back then.
Dude, it's
Damn.
been
Yeah,
it's been a while. It's been a
So
while.
yeah, so
Man,
it was free to
now
play
it's
before
still
the people
still
who
got
were
a beating
playing
heart.
free to play could still do the Red War campaign.
Me and,
which means that it must have been something else. It must have been the act of sunsetting maybe changed the code base so much.
Me and Mouse got to talking about it a couple months ago. I think this is our 10th year of being friends, so that means that me and you have known each other for 10 years too, Badger.
Damn.
Yeah, but,
It's been a minute. A third of my life I've known you guys.
Damn. Richie and I have known each other for more than half our. Sorry, Mouse and I have
Yeah.
known each other for more than half our lives at this
Yeah,
point.
it's
It's crazy.
man. Like, the amount of time
Oh, yeah,
that
man.
passes so quick.
Statistically, we'll
Insane.
be friends for the rest of our lives. Like,
No.
it makes sense.
stalker
Considering we're
noises,
still
because
in
I'll make
contact.
sure that's gonna happen, man.
Oh, and
I
that's the
swear
good
to God.
thing. That's the good thing about our friend group is that, like, we can literally not talk to each other for 2-3 years and pick up like nothing ever happened. Like, we're just like, okay,
Yeah.
we're back.
Yeah, it's not like weird or how
That's funny you
things
say
been,
that,
huh?
because I literally had an old roommate just hit me up like yesterday and say, "Hey, if you ever want to hop in my PS chat, let me know. We can catch up." And I was
Hell
like,
yeah.
"Dude, that's so cool. Hell yeah."
That's
right,
awesome.
Right.
Anybody else got anything?
Nope. Got through all my brain ticklers and got through my news articles. So.
Guitar
Badger?
Hero.
What about Guitar
That-
Hero?
The girdle guitar.
That's another franchise we haven't had as a game in a long time that
Yeah.
I would choose.
Dude, imagine the
Kinda turned into Rock
advancements.
Band after a while.
I mean,
And yeah, I'd probably take a Rock Band too. Like I'd be cool with that.
I never could
I
get
think
into Rock Band.
Harmonix became Rock Band, didn't it? Like Guitar
You became
Hero
Rock
got bought
Band.
out.
And PS4
I
didn't
don't
they?
know.
Ish.
PS4 didn't they have like Rocksmith or some shit?
Something like that. Yeah. Band.
I think they still make it, but it's like not as like big or as advertised.
Hmm.
I don't know.
like actually teaches you to play guitar. It's got like strings. And
Yeah.
Full fret
Yeah.
finger positions and shit.
You just plug a real guitar into it is the thing, and it
Oh,
like reads
okay,
your
yeah.
note.
Yeah, I'm good. See, that's the thing is like I don't know why I could never play Rock Band, but I fucking loved Guitar Hero. That was pretty decent.
I liked both, but I like singing in Rock Band to be honest. But I'm that asshole who likes to sing randomly and makes people suffer.
Karaoke.
Yeah.
Let me melt your eardrums for a minute.
I sing at work a lot, which is cool because like nobody gives a shit. So
I do too. I'll just start singing some stupid shit. Like one of my friends at work listens to Sexy Red and Nicki Minaj, and I'll just randomly start singing some stupid ass lines
Nice.
from it. I'll just scream
as
it at
long
the
as-
top of my lungs too.
as long as I'm not cussing up a storm, nobody gives a crap.
Oh, no,
or
dude,
cussing,
I am-
really.
Oh
Or
right.
being
right.
inappropriate.
I'm
Yeah.
absolutely foul at work. They don't care. But I also don't work with kids, so.
Yeah. I got like
The
a
shit that I
wholesome
get away
playlist
with.
and stuff.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So like I work in essentially a blue collar job. So like the shit that you hear is not safe for work. The amount
Yeah, it
of
does suck
times-
that I can't like throw on some Mastodon or like some like Disturbed or just like some Childish Gambino or something sometime.
The amount of
But-
times that I've told
Right.
one of my friends at work that I was gonna bend him over and fuck him raw in front of my boss is insane.
Oof. Get spicy.
Yeah, and it gets a little crazy, but alrighty. Well, I think we're good to end it here, right?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in for episode 6 of Demon's Lutebox. We will be posting another episode next week, like always. Hopefully, we can get some more guests in here. Maybe we can get Badger on again, depending on what his schedule looks like. But if there's anything else you guys would like to see, any news you guys want us to talk about, let us know in the comments. As always, I'm Demon. I got Godmouse over here. I'll link his stuff down below. And we'll see if Badger comes back next week. See you guys later.
I have no life, so probably.
Perfect.